larger than life. He'll give you strife. He's Todd. He's tall, he's mean. He's labeling machine. He's Todd. Rides a motorbike. He'll tell you what it's like. He's Todd. Don't know what he'll say. He'll scare the kids away. He's Todd. He's Todd.
Hey, good morning. Just like the song said, I'm Todd. Thanks again for showing up this Thursday. Appreciate it. Hope your week has been fantastic. We are now on episode, I don't know, 44, 45, something like that. And as I previously discussed, we are inviting other industry partners on board. There's only so much I can talk about labeling, and I get told after a while. So we're going to continue this series with partners coming on board, and they are partners that need labeling. All right, so that is the catalyst here, is that all these partners I'm bringing on board, they do need labeling. Let's see, what else is going on? Took the bike out yesterday. Fantastic ride. Haven't started her up in quite some time. So I had a good time yesterday. And of course, it was after hours, boss, after 6 p.m. or something like that. But let's see, what else? Hope the weather's holding up. Getting a little cold here in California, believe it or not. Listen to me whine, all right? But during the day, I mean, we're still hitting close to 80. So I was talking to my older brother, Sam, up in Fort Collins, Colorado, 3 days ago, and I guess they got their first snow. And I can remember it normally starts snowing around Halloween time, so they're a little bit early. But anyway, I hope everything's holding up for you. Hope everyone's healthy out there. So continuing in the series, and you can see behind me, I've got a rack system, and the rack system and the cable management was provided by RXL. And I have invited Bryan Garcia today, and we'll put him on in just a minute, to talk a little bit about RXL and what they have to offer. And I know some of the things, we're talking about cable pathways, rack system, cable management, wall mounts, cabinets, enclosures, zone containment, and cage systems. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then towards the end, I'm going to go into some labeling ideas and the different types of labels you need to use on the actual metals themselves, because it does make a difference. You want that label to stick at all times. So we're going to talk about standard adhesive and our extra strength adhesive. And then we're going to talk about some QR codes. You all know I love QR codes out there. And I'm going to show you something. I actually printed out a label, put it right here. And I'm going to use a QR code reader, and I'm going to show you how that looks toward the end here. So without further ado, Kelly, if you could, flip the switch on Mr. Bryan. Hey, there he is.
Hey,
all right, man. Hey, good. So you're a Cali boy. You're up north, as we talked about yesterday. I'm in Southern California, a little north of San Diego. We consider everything north of San Onofre Northern California. So I'm going to say you're in Northern California. But Bryan is with RXL. And Bryan was nice enough when we started BS with Todd to send me the 7x19. He sent me a piece of ladder rack, but it doesn't quite fit in here. But I do have his wire management as well. So Bryan, you're going to talk a little bit today about what RXL brings to the table and some of what you offer, which is a little bit different than some of the other racking and metal companies out there. So without further ado, man, I really appreciate you getting up and coming on the show today. So it's all yours, brother.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah, well, I think anything south of San Francisco is still Southern California. So I still consider myself a Southern California guy.
All right,
and look, I'm wearing a jacket inside. These California guys, the weather.
Yeah, it's
So,
68 in my office today. But give us a little bit of history of RXL, and then if you would, kind of run through what you guys are offering out there.
So RXL, let's see, we started RXL about 5 years ago. We have a long history of being a contract manufacturer, so we built all kinds of metal products. But about 5 years ago, we really decided to focus on, the industry that we serve now, which is, the data center, telecom. We provide 2-post racks, 4-post racks, cable management, wall mount, floor standing cabinets. But where lately we seem to have been picking up more traction are cages and containments, which are much larger assemblies, more piece parts. So actually labeling all of the packaging, all of the parts that go together in a cage is more critical. It's easier for installers to get confused on which part is which one goes where. So for us, labeling is getting more and more important and critical the more parts that are in our bill of materials. I actually have, I wanted to share an assembly just so you can understand and grasp, compared to a rack or a cable pathway, how many more parts are shipped and need to be identified and put together. So, we're talking from a door to different size panels, posts to structurally support the ceiling, the walls, even under floor posts. So, we do have in here some of our racking and cabinets, cable managers, but those are pretty much all fully assembled once they get shipped to the site. But the cage requires a lot more assembly. So just identifying each one of these items so the installer can put them together with an install guide, that's where we need to be very careful on how we're labeling and identifying these parts for everybody.
Yeah, so one of the things keep in mind too is that, we're talking, I deal with a lot of data centers, all over the place. And, we're talking about liability. You got millions of dollars worth of electronics in there, very sensitive information in there. And so, you want to keep prying eyes out. There's liability matters in there, but part of what you're doing, and it's kind of twofold, in where Brother can help out. Number one, on the manufacturing side, the assembly side, with clear-cut instructions based in a QR code, if you will. But number two is that when these zone containment or cage systems go in, they're generally part of a data center. And 606, it's now 606D. So ANSI TIA 606D covers labeling of racks, cabinets, grid systems inside data centers. So everything that you're building the enclosure on the outside to protect, the active and passive electronics on the inside. But, there is just a whole lot of labeling going on, within there. And one of the things I wanted to point out is that you got a couple of different types of metals, if you will. You've got a powder coated surface, such as I've got on the 7x19 open. And then you've got, panels that could be flat and smooth. And so it's very important that you use the right label for that material. And so there's a couple of different types. We have our standard adhesive, which is for a smooth, flat surface. And the extra strength is actually got a softer adhesive. So it fits inside, or not fits inside, but it adheres to the micro nooks and crannies on let's say a powder coated device. And so you can't go wrong using extra strength on both of them. All right, so it's a little bit more for the extra strength. But again, when it's time to label these things, identify the racks, the cabinets, the pathways, the struts, make sure you're using the right label, if you will, because you don't want that falling off, number one. and you want it to be very clear and concise as far as the print goes. So again, that was just kind of my interjection. I was going to hold it towards the end, but I couldn't contain myself. So if you could, Bryan, please continue. With I'd like to know a little bit more about your general offering. I was surprised, and there's other companies out there, your competitors, which kind of focus on certain things, and that's really all they do. The pitch for you guys is that you have so many products out there. You have your struts, you have your tray systems, you have your racking systems, cabinet systems, containment systems, cages. So you really encompass everything there is as far as a infrastructure build out, if you will. Am I correct in that pitch I'm giving your way?
Yeah, I think our previous history of just being a general contract manufacturer, fabricator, if you will. We've done automotive, we've done construction, architectural stuff. We've done, we've made similar products for other manufacturers in a previous life. But I think just having, we're pretty versatile, and we've had different experience in different industries that have helped us be a little bit nimble and not always, when we're all competing. I mean, we're all trying to support, these customers who buy all these products and need this. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here for support, but we're able to not always just compete on the same racks or cabinets cable managers. We can also help with value add, like doing trapezes and cutting, painting, assembling. So we try to do more than just the standard products, and we try to be flexible, custom, and add more value that way. But going back to what you mentioned about the finishes on the powder coat, the labeling, we've tried labeling things and probably not used the correct adhesive or type of label, and I've had labels come off, different finishes and surfaces before. So I think that was a good point that you mentioned earlier about the adhesive.
Well, you don't, as a contractor, I mean, you don't want to go back to a job site unless you're getting paid. You don't want to go back and to replace labels that have fallen off, or labels that have faded, or labels that have scratched. You want to make sure that it's billable time. All right. So it's kind of a one and done with the labeling system. You and I were talking before the show, and I gave you had a great idea. And I think it's fantastic, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I'm going to give a little segue into it. Is that my wife, instead of asking for her typical new car or purse or something outrageous, she asked for a ping pong table for her birthday, and I'm like, oh, okay, And so, here I decide it wasn't a good decision, but I decide, okay, I'm going to put this together myself. And, I brought out the instructions, and, being a typical guy, we don't like going through instructions, asking for directions. No.
Nope.
Right?
No.
So I'm going through this, and then I noticed a QR code on the side of the box. And I thought, what the hell is that? So I took a picture, and it took me to a third-party site. It still escapes me what this third-party site is, but I tell you what, it had the directions right on my phone. They were 3D directions to where I can, move my finger, and then the ping pong table was going this way and that way. And I got to tell you, it was extremely innovative. So one of the things, and we always talk before we get on the camera here, but one of the ideas that you had, I want you to share with the audience out there. And I think it's a fantastic idea, because when you get these things like the 7x19, I put together hundreds of these things. I put my old contractor hat back on, and it was pretty simple to put together. But if you're talking about anything beyond like a basic 7x19, chances are you want to make the installation as easy as possible for that contractor or integrator. So if you would, man, I'd like you to share what you and I were talking about your idea with the QR code.
All righty. Yeah, no problem. Let's see here. Can you see?
Nah, not quite yet. Hang on. Kelly, you see, there we go. Oh, no, not quite. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first off, I wish my wife would ask me for a ping pong table. Yeah, I wonder if I got her one for Christmas, if she'd be okay with that.
New golf clubs. That always works.
All right. Yeah, so what I mentioned earlier about the cages just having much larger bill of materials. Our goal, what we would like to get to eventually, is where we can print a QR code, on one product or all of our products, so that when an installer has 70, 80, 100 different parts to put together, that they can get directed to a 3D model that we could, have on the web or somewhere where they could view and get really close and look at the details as far as where the bolts go, what size they are. They can take dimensions off of this. There's SolidWorks provides a free viewer called eDrawings, and it's just a tool so that people who don't design can still view and look at details for installs. And so, like your ping pong table we talked about, I mean, that's exactly what we want to do and where we want to get to. And we don't know how we get there yet, but maybe with Brother's help, we can find a way to print these QR codes and have a link or somewhere to get to this. So, but
well, we'll talk about that. If I can remember the site, I think the site is open to everybody. But again, time is money, and what we're talking about here, folks, is that if you have clear and concise directions, or you can make it easier for that installer to put these things together, the less time they take to put them together, obviously, the more profits you're going to have on that particular job. So that's kind of what me and Bryan and Eddie are going to be working on in the near future, is that Brother can generate these barcodes, and you can put a lot of information in there. But what we're talking about here is having maybe a third-party site that the Brother QR code hits, and then it gives you something like what Bryan is showing you right now, down to the details, like he just showed, of where the bolts go, and the sizing, true to life sizing, stuff like that. So again, time is money, and that's kind of what this partnership is working toward. You know what I meant?
Yeah,
that's where we're headed. So no, I think that's something, and Bryan, I think we can definitely come up with a way to help you guys out there as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, you said it best. I mean, we're trying to be of value. We're trying to support the contractors, the installers, anybody who touches our product after it leaves our facility. I mean, we just want to help them, be helpful, give them tools to make their life easier. The last thing we want is, to send what we think is a nice product and have somebody, have difficulty putting it together and not going together the way it's supposed to. So, I think it's all in an effort to, like we said before, even just traditional, just labeling part numbers on the parts, or even going as far as this solution where we have a QR code that can direct and link someone to have the 3D model at their disposal to zoom in and out and look at it from all different angles to help them with the install. So
the other area that I think that if people start doing this is going to make their life a lot easier is that, basically raceway systems, rack systems going throughout the ceiling, right? And there's only so much information that you can put on a label. And keep in mind that that's a highway up there, and it's got left turns and right turns, and it's got starts and stops and waterfalls, and it's got all sorts of information. And again, you need to label those racks, racks, runway systems, racks, everything that's basically up inside there. Well, you don't put a rack up in the damn ceiling, but the highway that's up in the ceiling. And so one of the things, and I'm going to share this with you, and I did this morning on our software, and I'll give you a brief glimpse of how I did it. But in that highway system, all right, again, you're limited to what you can put on, let's say, a standard label like this. All right, you're very limited. And then the more information you put on a standard label, the smaller the font. And so you don't want to have to be getting up in the ceiling to get close enough to read that actual label. So one of the things I did, and I'm going to share my screen here in a second. So Bryan, if you click off yours, I'll click on mine. Kelly, let me share my phone here with you. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works.
Okay. Am I on?
All right, here we go. So there's a couple of different ways of reading QR codes. And I know the iPhone, I'm not sure about Androids now, but the iPhone has a basic QR code reader. You know what? It's more for going to, URLs or sites or stuff like that. There are some freebies out there. As you can see, there's Scan Life out there. There's Neo Reader. I like that one. The one that I really like, though, over here is called QR Reader. All right. These are all free. You have the ability, let me go back here with, let's say, a Scan Life, which is in the middle, to read 1D and 2D barcodes. But most of the time, what I see out in the field are QR codes. So let's go back over to QR Reader. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn around here. And I made this barcode. Now I put it on the cable management, but look at the amount of information, and this is nothing, right? So if you're using alpha and numeric characters, you can get 4,200 characters onto this barcode. If you're using either alpha or numeric, you can get over 7,000 characters on here. So I'm going to use this QR reader, and I'm just going to take a quick pic of this. Now you might see some stuff in the background that maybe you shouldn't see, but it's live, who cares? So let's go ahead and turn this on. All right. Now look at that information. So it's an RXL part number 1052 installed on 1021 today by Todd Telco. I like the name of that. And then it goes through where it originates, where it goes through, where it passes through, the row that it's on, and then it ends at the 5th floor, North B. So again, you can keep continuing with whatever information that you have here. And let me show you how I did that. I'm going to share another screen. And now you can either do this. Let me share here. You can do this one of two ways. Let me bring this up here. All right. Here we go. I did this on the computer. All right. If you look, I've even added the RXL logo. All right. And, again, you can add your company logo, your customer's logo, but here's the barcode. And if I click on the properties of this barcode, all right, there's all the information I entered this morning. It's as simple as that. And again, you can keep going and going and going and going. So from a pathway system, you can put whatever information you want up there. And this is sure, it's a hell of a lot easier to go in there and scan this thing to get this information right here. Imagine, Todd, call out what software you're using. Oh, all right, I'll get there eventually, for God's sakes. It's Kelly yelling at me in the background this morning, not Kate. Kate's off today. But imagine trying to get all that information onto this. It can't be done, all right? You just can't do it. So again, a QR code for these purposes or any other purposes that you need a lot of information in there is a great thing. The software I'm using is our P-Touch editor software. And the P-Touch editor software comes with several of our printers. It comes with the PTE 500, the PTE 550, and all of our desktops. It is a free software. You can put it on as many nodes as you want. And again, if you need help with the software, reach out to me. I'll show you how to put logos on there like I did with RXL, and how to configure QR codes and Aztec codes and micro QR codes and 1D barcodes and so forth and whatnot. It's actually very, very easy to do. So again, if you got any questions, reach out on that. But I think it's a very innovative idea for that highway system up in the ceiling, and using QR codes inside the data center like Bryan and myself were talking about. So With that being said, Bryan, it's 10:25. The half hour goes like this. We're going to show Bryan's contact information here in a little bit. But Bryan, I want to thank you very much for talking about RXL, some of your innovative ideas you have out there. And I'm specifically interested, just for myself, selfish purposes, in some of your containment and cage systems out there. So that's a growing business. I see it in a lot of places, a lot of data centers I go into. So I wish you the best of luck with that. And then you and I will be talking going down the road as far as partnering up, with some of Brother label offering and what we can offer RXL and vice versa. So again, man, I thank you very much. Did you have anything for the audience before we boot you out of here, Bryan?
No, not really. I just thank you for having me on the call. If you like our containment that much, I could sell you one that you can put around your ping pong table at home, and you can just you can label it and say this is Todd's.
I can't even imagine. Actually, I need a place to put my bike. The place we moved into didn't have a garage, so that may not be a bad idea to talk to you about some type of containment system for my bike out there. But again, I thank you very much. Stick around after the show for a minute. We'll chit chat after. But with that being said, we're going to show your contact information. If you have any questions regarding any of the products that RXL has to offer, please reach out to either Bryan or Eddie. If you have any questions regarding labeling, you can reach out to me. So with that being said, Bryan, thank you very much. Stay on for a second. You'll be faded off into the background. Here's the information for Eddie and Bryan. And so again, any questions whatsoever, please reach out. They're really good guys. And so they got some great products as well. What do we got next? So upcoming the session schedule. All right. So next week we got softing. As you guys know, we're doing partnerships with some of our certification or some of the certification lines out there. And we talked about AEM. We talked about Trend, and we're going to talk to softing. All right. And we have basically ratified and finalized the softing venture. We're going to talk to the folks there next week about that. That should be a great show, by the way. November 18th, we got CPI. Now, again, CPI, they're in the metal line, kind of like Bryan and RXL. They go to market a little bit differently, different products. We'll talk to them as well. Again, the whole idea behind doing this is talking about products that you need labels on. Right, that are mandated through ANSI TIA that you do that. And so we'll have CPI on there too. And I've known David forever and ever and ever. And it'll be good to talk to him again. But some couple of great shows coming up here. We got Sunbird online. We got Triplight coming on board. We've got just a bunch of people. So please stay tuned. These things are just getting better and better. As far as contacting us, the team, if you will, as all of you now know, I'm out of northern San Diego, Vista, California, if you will. I got Mr. Jamie Brookover out of Virginia Beach, Mr. Dan Cobb in Wisconsin. Actually, he's doing a show in, where is Dan? Dan's in Houston this week. Mr. Bruce Page out of Marblehead, Massachusetts. So Bruce is out there. He's probably still asleep right now, but Bruce will answer his phone eventually or an email. Mr. Rob Dawkins out of North Carolina, and then our glorious leader, Mr. Craig Robinson out of the Sarasota, Bradenton area. Anyway, again, if you have any questions on labeling, please reach out to us. Don't forget, we have our new safety signage available right now. All right. So again, great for racking systems, great for trace systems, as well as your general safety labels that are mandated out there. So those are now available. If you have any questions on any of the new stuff, please get a hold of any of the team members. With that being said, 10:28. I think I'm bolting out of here 2 minutes early. It was a great show. Again, thank you very much, Bryan. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Have yourself a fantastic week. Please stay healthy. Please stay safe. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks again. Oh, by the way, one more thing before I close. This will be up on www.bswithtodd.com. We've also got all other 40 whatever episodes we've done up there. We generally put this up in a day or two. So for those who may have missed it, you can always go to bswithtodd.com and view the previous episodes. So with that being said, look at it. It's almost 10:30 now. So I've filled up another 2 minutes. And who is calling me? Potential spam. So, hey, thank you very much. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.